I just realized that the mic was probably off. So let's see if I have sound now. It looks like we have sound. So today's stream is gonna be called Exercising My Habit Muscle. Need motivation? Me too. Join my live stream as I build Bookmenti and harness the power of habit to drive startup success. I build faster when others are watching, so come help me stay motivated at Twitch. Hashtag build in public, hashtag habit, hashtag startup. And then I made this little banner that I'm gonna post. Yep, that's gonna be it. Let's see if people tune in. If not, then it's okay. We did the best we could. And then let's close this one for now. Maybe just do localhost. We open this one. Let's see if we can get to where we left last time. And also I just need to take a minute because I need to pop up all of the chats so that I have it in one place for me to see all of the chats, since I'm streaming on multiple platforms, just to get the highest amount of exposure, and also testing what platform I should be going with. I am streaming on YouTube, Twitch, Kick, and Trovo. If there are any platforms that you think I should be checking out, please let me know. For now, I have had best experience with Kick, because most people have actually been joining in, and very, very kind people have joined the chat over the last 2 weeks. So yeah, mostly it's been the Kick chat that's been popping off. So that's nice. I'll just make the YouTube and yeah, so I know you guys can't see the other screen, but I have a setup like this where I can see all of the chats. So this is the Twitch chat, this is the Kick chat, the Trovo chat, and the YouTube chat. And then I will keep the OBS over here as well, just to see that everything is looking fine. So there we have it. Last time we made this search functionality. Actually, should work something like that. Let's see if we can open the database, and we can look for, is it podcasts? Podcast that has this exact search term. It has to be exactly that, and then it will find all of the books mentioned in this podcast that I have put in there myself. Right now it's just a bunch of test data. So I'm thinking maybe in this stream we are going to try to populate it a bit more in towards getting maybe all of the books from one podcast. So I'm gonna be trying to do that from my favorite podcast, which is called My First Million. And yeah, I think that's gonna be how we do it. I think we have 2 viewers over at the Kick chat, so that's very nice. Thanks for joining in. Today I'm wearing my glasses because it's easier to see the screen. I also have an empty cup of coffee, and actually I should maybe just go and make some coffee. So I will change it to be right back. I'll put a bunch of text here. Making some coffee. Oh, yeah, let's just put it here. Whoopty-doopty. I'll see you in 2 minutes. That was a very fast cup of coffee, since the water was still hot in the can. I could just easily pour another one. The sound of coffee. Let's see if we have anyone in the chats. We do not, and that's just okay. Maybe I should. Yeah, I think the title of the stream today is fine. It is just fine. We should have the Twitch chat here as well. Yep, there we go. There we go. Okay. So in order to make this work, wait, do we have more things? That's unfortunate. Okay, so we can do big letter search. Okay, we need to figure out how to make a controller that can maybe download a video. Maybe that should be the purpose. So we have this podcasts we found out the other day are listed on something that is called an RSS feed. And I think many podcasts are actually on the iTunes, Apple Podcasts. And we can do this search, and I don't remember. Maybe this is one of the good ones. My first million. My first million iTunes. Maybe this is the way to do it. Yeah, here we go. So it looks like no. Okay. At least this is the RSS feed that we need to read. And then we need to get the episode, and each episode also has a media. So for example, in order to download this podcast,
if you've ever listened to this podcast,
we can actually just go to this link. We can download it. It's 109 megabytes. And then the idea is that we put it in the files, and then we should analyze it. So let's see if we can do that manually first, and then see if we can place it somewhere nice. So where would be somewhere nice? Another Go developer. Hello there, this is Nikki. This is Nikki. Sorry if I butchered your name. I'm just getting better at reading out people's name as part of learning in this streamer world. So I'm quite new to this. But yes, I'm actually learning Go. So I'm cheating a little bit. I'm more used to other languages, and I've been writing a lot of JavaScript, Java, TypeScript, Python, stuff like that. Go is a bit different. And I'm using a bunch of like ChatGPT in order to help me out. But I'm slowly learning. I think it's getting better. That's nice. You're learning too. Good to know. Are you building anything particular? Anything while learning? I always find it more fun to learn, and I'm better at sticking with it when I'm building something. And right now I'm building this this podcast and book gathering database. So the idea is you will be able to search for a podcast, and then it will give you all of the books mentioned in that podcast, and it will like list what episode has it been linked to, when exactly in the episode was it mentioned, what episode is it, when was it released, something like that. Yeah, I should have watched some tutorials on Go before starting this journey, but yeah, I'm just like Googling stuff and then asking asking the GPT God whenever I'm curious about something. But I think it looks a lot like, it reminds me a lot of C programming, just without having to handle errors, which is nice. The garbage collecting system from like Java or like other similar programming languages, and it's quite nice. The only thing I don't like so far is the error handling. I don't know, maybe you can tell me if there's a better way of error handling, or if this is just a way. I think at some point I asked ChatGPT if it's necessary to do all of these. No, this one. Like you always return an error together with whatever you're calling. So whenever you're calling a function, it always also returns like an error. And then it's like this stuff, but it just, all of my code is just a bunch of if error not nil, and that's just, I don't know, it's ugly. It's easy to read, but it's ugly, I think. Yeah, but I also kind of figured out that this is just the way Go works. Another person from Kick who was tuning in, who has been doing Go development also for quite a while, he was like, Go is such a nice language because you can easily give a task to a very experienced developer, and if you give the same task to a new developer, you will almost always end up getting like somewhat of a similar function. Like there's not a lot of ways of doing stuff, like because it's so, what did he call it, like rigid or static or like strict. I guess the best word is strict. It's so strict. You have to handle your errors in a specific way. You're like your function can almost not look like any differently. Rather, you're like a really experienced guy or like a noob like me. But I don't know. Have you ever read or heard about the book called Clean Code? You know, what is it called? Uncle Bob or like something like that. The Clean Code book. It always like, it says something that you have to have some very small functions, and I think Go kind of, it violates the small functions clean code thing, or at least, I don't know, maybe I'm just not good enough at writing code like that. Yes, yeah, by Robert C. Yeah, I don't know why he's called Uncle Bob. Like, when you search in Uncle Bob, he's also like really savage. But yeah, that's the guy. I never read the whole book, but I kind of liked the concepts that he's doing. I also love the idea about test-driven development. It's just I don't think I'm good enough of a developer yet to do it like that. He did an interview recently. Do you know the Primogen? This one. Is it this one? No, that's 8 months ago. This one, just 11 days ago. Like, I would recommend this interview. It's fun because Primogen is such a big Go lover. He loves Go. And there's a lot of things that Go does, and the way that Primogen, I guess, works is more modern and more like current. And Uncle Bob is like the OG, the old generation, doing it like his clean code, minimal way, like very structured. Everything needs to be tested, test-driven development. Functions can only do one thing, and they have to be like very atomic and small. So they're like two very different persons, kind of talking about things. And I think Primogen is good at like convincing or trying to ask good nuanced questions about like how to do stuff. So I'd recommend that watch if anyone's interested. Also, like, if you don't know the Primogen, I should actually subscribe from this new account. I'm Danish, yes. Are you Danish as well? Or are you Swedish or Scandinavian? Or how did you know? Sometimes maybe people from Holland know how to say. Netherlands also know. But yes, I'm Danish. En rigtig dansker. Okay, where did I come from? I found it very nice to stream, but when I'm streaming, I always end up talking so much because I think it's important to talk with the audience when there's someone in the chat. But then when I'm talking, it's really hard to concentrate. So I gotta talk about the code, man. Where you from? Where you from? Nikki, where you from? Azerbaijan. How did you know that I'm Danish? Is it that obvious? Holy shit. Or maybe I put it somewhere. No, it's not in the information, right? It's not listed anywhere. Maybe I should list something here. I can like add stuff, links, description, information about me. Maybe something like I'm a 26-year-old. How do you? I'm basically a college dropout. Building stuff on stream. Stay motivated and can do like this. Wonder how it looks. Are you working? Yes, I'm working. I'm working on building a startup or a project. I think it's more of a project. It's more of an idea. So have you ever heard the term indie hacking or people who are building in public? There's this guy called Levels.io. I think he's the best example. He did 70 plus projects and only like 5% of them took off. So here's a list of all of the projects that he did. He did like Nomad list, Nomad jobs, remote, okay, all of these like lists, and all of these like websites, small websites that he can build like really fast. He's using like PHP and jQuery, and like he just taught himself how to program, and then he built all of these like projects, and then at the end he succeeded with some of them, and now he's listing here all of the revenue streams that he has. So for example, if you have ever wanted to become a nomad, then like he created this nomad list where you can sign up and pay, and then you can figure out what's the cheapest place to travel in the world. And I just like the idea of creating some small ideas and then having them live out there on the internet, and then if somebody at some point thinks it's a good idea, then maybe you could start figuring out how to monetize it. But what I'm doing right now is building something called Bookmenti. And Bookmenti is an idea that I've had for half a year now. And it's the idea to kind of connect books and podcasts. So whenever I listen to podcasts, and I do that regularly, specifically I listen to entrepreneurial podcasts. And so when a book is mentioned by someone on a podcast, maybe it's a guest, maybe it's the host, then I always get inspired to read it. Also, like I note down the book and why I should read it, and then when I get to it, of course I have like a list of books, but it would also be cool to kind of find new books or like other books mentioned in other podcasts. And many of these podcasts have like, for example, My First Million has like, I don't know, 600 episodes, and they're all like at least an hour long, or at least many of them are at least 1 hour long, or like 45 minutes. And I'm never gonna be able to catch up with all of the 600 episodes unless I like use my whole summer just listening on podcast. And since I love to get inspired by books mentioned, I thought maybe if I create this book mentioning podcast thing, it can find books, and then if I know I like a specific book that's mentioned, maybe I will also like that episode or the guest talking about it, and it will link directly to the book mentioned. And that way I can maybe find golden episodes that I want to listen to, or I can find really cool books. In the long run, I will also be able to collect like maybe the book of the month, or like what book has been mentioned most time in entrepreneurial podcast in the past year or week or something like that, so you can like find new trends. So that's what I'm like kind of trying to do, and I think it's a fun small project that I can work on, and I can finish it maybe in a month or so, and then I can start working on a new project, and then kind of try to do like this guy, not this one, but like just build a ton of stuff, getting better at programming, doing this stuff, like pushing stuff out there fast. That's also the ship fast. What is it called? The ship fast Twitter. I don't remember what it's called. Oh, why don't I remember? Ship fast. People. No. Well, but it's maybe. Oh, never mind. I should get back to it. Azerbaijan. Nikki. Azerbaijan. I don't have a lot of friends from Azerbaijan. I don't know that many people from Azerbaijan. It's far away. That's cool. Well, I should try. Hello, Ande. Ande from India and Nikki from Azerbaijan. Nice to see you in the chat. Ande, do you get notifications whenever I'm live? Does it like email you, or like how does it work? Because I've gotten emails from Kik and some of the other people that I follow are live, but I don't know if it's something you have to subscribe to, or is it like automatic when you follow people? Maybe it's just automatic. Look, Ande, I got the search up and working not yesterday, but last stream. You get emails when I start. That's cool. No, it's not. Not so many kilometers away. I think it's like far away. So, but maybe I'm just. India's even further away though. My First Million. You can search for it now on the website, and then on the test website, and then the books that are related to the podcast gets viewed. So now I can, and these are just like some dummy data that I put in, but actually it works. First podcast book title, yeah, exactly. But it's not really working yet. I need to download the data and actually scan the books of this podcast before it actually works. But I will do that in this stream, hopefully. So we need to make a folder where all of the data goes, and I think it should be like an internal folder because it shouldn't be populated in the out there. So it should be like maybe in data, no, maybe in static. Should it be in static? No, internal. Could be an internal thing, right? It could be an internal thing. And then it could be, what do we call this? Something with like data. Data or data books, or how should I call this? Downloaded? Maybe. Oh, I really don't like that. Is the first section front end? So actually, it is. I'm thinking you're asking about the structure of the code. So I should explain it briefly. I made up my own kind of structure, and I am trying to make it follow the MVC structure. If you ever heard about the model view controller idea, and since I'm using Go and a very lightweight framework, or not a framework, called HTMX, which is very not popular, but like very popularized by, for example, the Primogen that I mentioned before. Well, I made this MVC structure, and if you disregard everything from here and down, these are kind of some folder structures that I have made myself. If you just take a look at this folder, this is actually what the folder structure looks like. But then I have made this workspace to kind of structure the code more readable for me, because I like the idea that main, for example, is the top one, and then comes router, and then controller, repositories, templates, static, models, database, and generated stuff. So that I kind of have it in an ordered way and not in an alphabetic way. Many editors are able to do this differently, but VS Code always have you do it in like a structured way. So I made this one for myself, and now that I'm adding like a new folder, for example here under internal, I would have to kind of go and add a specific one for that, but I will try to go over it. Yeah, it's HTMX plus Go, you know, the hype stack. So on the top we have my main. Right now it's a bit messy because it's actually doing a bunch of stuff with the database that I did in the start. I need to clean this up, and many of these things actually doesn't need to be done anymore. For example, like it doesn't need to check if there's a book and stuff like that right now. But anyways, the important part is that I create the database, then I make the connections with the repositories, then I make the connections with the controllers that I have, and then I set up the routes. So all of these things are actually the things that's going on in these layers. So for example, I have the router. I like to have the router on the top. The router is the one that actually just, and I'm using something called mux here to kind of expose all of the endpoints to the controller. So for example, if I want to get a list of all the podcasts, then this router will route it directly to the controller that is called episode controller. All of the episodes from a podcast, and then it will like call this function called get episode page. And if we go to get episode page, we can see that get episode page will then call the repository, which is like get episodes by podcast, and then this one will call the database from the generated queries that I have made from something called SQLC, which is a way of automatically generating database stuff so that it's easier to manage it. So for example, this one is calling this generated get episode podcast ID, and I have not written this one. It's just automatically generated from this file here inside my databases. So for example, this one get episodes by ID is actually just in here. You can see that I only wrote this one. Actually, ChatGPT helped me write it, and then when I go into the chat and I type SQLC generate, then it will take this one and it will make this whole like all of this code will just be generated, and then I can use it in the repository. And the idea is to have all of the business logic separated onto the controllers, and then the repositories are only managing stuff with the database and kind of doing it like that, I think. Maybe I might be wrong, but at least there's this separation so that the episodes are only doing stuff with the database, and then the controller kind of figures out how it should be returned. And in this example, it's a podcast page. And so under my templates, I have, for example, under episode, I have this create page. So for example, the create page that that we take a look at here. Wait, no, get episodes page. It is returning a, oh wait, it is create page. Okay, so I can show it probably by doing something like this. Go run. Yep. And then since the router is exposing this controller, in the end it will look something like this. And then if I put in, for example, 1, oh no, that's not what I wanted. Like this. 1, and then it will get me to the page that is the create page. Right now this is like all public, so anyone can access it, but I will have to kind of hide this away and comment it out of the controller or something like that in the future. Maybe make some kind of login so that I'm the only one who can create stuff, but then I will actually be able to go in here and edit some stuff if I want to. It's kind of a CRUD application, like create, update, delete. So let's see, we got some things in the chat. That was kind of the explanation of the application in depth. If you have any more questions, please feel free to ask. Specifically, I will be able to explain. Most of this code has been, like Anders saying, me and ChatGPT working together a lot. Like I have so far made this, I have something called Better ChatGPT. It's where I use an API instead of accessing the ChatGPT directly so that I have more control. And so far I've had 64 chat messages with with ChatGPT about creating this application. So yeah, it's been like a bunch of chats, and I like to do it that way. How much time you spent learning Go? So actually, I have never created any other projects in Go before, other than I've watched like 2 hours stream of the Primogen doing Go, but I didn't learn much from that because he was like a lot. And then HTMX, I started reading some of the books, like some of the HTMX book online book, but it was more kind of like the philosophy of HTMX. I never really got to the actual point of it, and so I know a lot of HTML, and CSS and stuff like that from previous programming stuff. And I guess the Go language is so similar to many other languages that I've used. And since I'm not actually programming a lot of these, I'm just asking ChatGPT to help me do it. So like I know what the function should do, and I can read the function when it's created for me. But in the start, I didn't code anything. I just made ChatGPT code everything for me. So actually, the way I can show this is by going over some of the first chats that I had with ChatGPT. So I've always had this system up here that is saying, you are a coding expert with Go knowledge. You help me build a model view controller style application utilizing Go, HTMX, and SQLC. And I think I might have also used some other chat stuff before I started doing this one. So I don't know if this one is like the first one, but at least ChatGPT helped me kind of getting to the point where I could make up a structure. I just started with like the main Go function, and I wrote like the database connection, and then I started figuring out how to do stuff, and I kind of just went with asking the ChatGPT how to kind of do stuff. So it was like, okay, I need an index page, please help me create it. It helps me create it. I put it in, I see how it looks, I see if it works. If it doesn't work, I mean, I'm trying to change some stuff here. And I think I've started using this one chat like here after the fact that I already already started the project. So we can't see the whole thing here because it's on my laptop. But if you want, I can see if I can go find it. So for example here, I said, please create a simple Go main file for me using Mux. So at this point, I've never used Mux before, and it's just telling me, okay, you need to download Mux. Okay, fine. And then it's telling me that, okay, in your main, you need to kind of handle these things. So for example, here it's teaching me, oh, you need to use like the get and like this. And I think it's fairly simple. So I just put it in and I play around with it. So like if I copy paste this into a new Go function, then it will like work like this. And it kind of started separating stuff out for me. And then I guess I started asking it to I guess there was some errors in my code so that I couldn't access the Go library. So it helped me. And then I wanted to use SQL3, SQLite 3. And then it needed to like help me create these tables and stuff. So I always like just kind of use ChatGPT as like a rubber duck. And if you've heard about rubber ducking before, or if you haven't, it's kind of like developers explain their code line by line to an inanimate object, typically a rubber duck, to identify potential flaws or discrepancies. So the rubber duck idea is kind of just to have like a rubber duck or something. I don't have one. I mean, the closest thing I might have is like this thing here, but like I don't really use it. It's more like of an idea. So you talk to someone or to something, or like you speak out loud your thoughts, and by doing that you are kind of solving things. You start solving things because you start talking about it. And so I've always been not very good at speaking the problems unless I'm speaking to someone. So for example, now that I'm streaming, it's a lot easier to kind of speak to someone about the problems, and I'm problem solving while I'm doing it. But when I'm not streaming and I'm like alone on stream, maybe don't have to think about so much, then I'm typing my problems. So I'm rubber ducking to ChatGPT. And so if I don't know how to solve something, then it will help me, because I will ask it like, how should I do this thing? And oftentimes it will like come closer to the point, and then at some point I will have like maybe gotten 3 different results from it, and I kind of choose to go in a direction, and then I copy the code that I maybe created, or like I maybe co-created together with ChatGPT, or maybe it created before, and I say it has to be something that's more similar to this, and then it helps me create it. And so as we go along up here, all the way to the top, you can see here I'm asking, how do I drop a table in SQL3? And so it's because I haven't worked a lot with it. I know a little bit of SQL, but it's been so long since I worked with it, and I kind of just forgot. And I know that ChatGPT can generate stuff, so I was like, it's quicker and easier. Just let me know. Okay, you need to go into SQL and then just drop the table. So that's kind of what I did. But now I'm maybe getting a bit too far ahead. So what else kind of questions have there been? Why can't Bookmenti be everywhere like we will make people know about it? LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, after the completion of the total process. I think that's a really great idea, and I think I will do that as well. At some point when Bookmenti is more or less like feature, like first feature is complete, like the main feature, I guess. Right now it's just like kind of a newsletter. I haven't really written any newsletters because there's not been that many people signing up yet, but at some point maybe I'll start doing that. And then I will also make LinkedIn posts, Twitter, Instagram, stuff like that. So like it gets a bunch of backlinks and maybe some more like legitimate. But for now it's just gonna live off of Twitter and then me streaming about it. I didn't understand the folder structure before. How much time you spend learning Go? There is a system word. Is it a system? Okay, so the folder structure is actually a bit. I should open a new one here. So let's see. Projects, develop, and then we have the. I think is this one. Yeah, so it's better to look at it like this. And then, okay, so the top folder structure for me, or the top is the server. So in here, I have the main function. This is the function that I call when I do go run, and then I go into command server main go. So this is where the main folder is located. And in here we have me setting up everything related to databases, and I'm using something called SQLC. I'm using SQLite. It's a file database. The database is located in this folder called data, and it's called local DB. And I have this plugin that's called SQLite plugin in VS Code that I can use to open a database. And then when I open the database, it's called data local database, and then it opens it down here, and I can open it up and I can explore the tables. So for example, I can see I have this book, I have these episodes, I have this podcast, subscribers. These are like all of the tables that I have. Okay, so maybe is there some part of it that you would like me to go in depth with? Then I would be more than happy to do it. I will not be doing like version control of this project. I have been thinking about doing like a boilerplate, something like this at some point. And then you're asking about Better GPT. So I found, accidentally just stumbled upon Better GPT. Better GPT is not better. It's just this. It's like a way of using the API instead of using ChatGPT. So at OpenAI, I have can I log in here? Maybe I can. Well, I have API access. So for every token I pay a little bit of money. So when I'm not using it, let's say I don't use it for a week, then I'm using no money. And then when I'm doing a stream like this, I'm using maybe $2 or $3 just because I'm prompting a lot, and I'm using like the bigger models, and I can kind of control how much history I want and stuff like that. I can easily start over, and I can easily go back and edit messages. So I think it's a lot nicer. So the system, that's what you're asking. What is a system? So when you're using the normal interface for ChatGPT on the website, like this one. Oh, am I logged in? Yeah. You don't get to make a system. The system is just ChatGPT. It is probably something like, I'm ChatGPT, how can I help you? Something like that, right? You are like a large language model, blah, 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 blah. Something like that. But actually you have a choice, and in the ChatGPT interface, they have just like predefined it for you. Like, it's like that. If you make your own GPTs, if you have upgraded to Plus, you can make your own GPTs. And in the own GPTs, you can also define a system. But since I'm not subscribed to the Plus one, because it costs like $20 a month, and I would rather have access to the API also because I need the API to build my projects on it. So for example, this project will be using some chat API stuff for finding books. I'm using the API. And the API comes with a bunch more like control. So for example, some of the stuff that you can kind of tweak is, for example, the max tokens. So right now, the biggest model in ChatGPT is this one called GPT-4 Turbo. And it can actually have a context window up towards 128,000 tokens. That's a lot if you didn't notice. It's a lot. If you have a message that's this long, it will also cost you like a lot to actually prompt it. But what I do is usually set the token limit somewhere around 16,000 tokens. ChatGPT 4, if you're using it from the chatgpt.com directly, it will have a token window of like 32,000, I think. And so if you're like having really long conversations, it's nice to use ChatGPT because it's kind of free. But there's also a limit. I think the limit is some amount of tokens or like amount of chats per hour. And usually when I'm like in a big like ChatGPT talking flow, then I succeed that amount. So you can only have like this many chats. I don't remember. It doesn't really state it, but there's like, if you get the Plus, then you can only have, I think it's 40 every 4 hours or something. And I can do more than that. I can maybe do like, I don't know, 80 an hour. Like I do a lot. I ask the ChatGPT a lot when I'm in the mindset of it, and I don't want to be limited. And so I can also like do stuff with temperature. I can do stuff with this. I never really touch these, so I don't really need it. But I can also choose other models if I want to. I don't really need that either. I just want the best one. I was also I fell in love with ChatGPT 4 at some point. It's more expensive, or at least it used to be. But now I think Turbo is fine. It's also more like recent, so it's fine. And then Beta GPT is open source. It's free in a way that you can only use it together with an API key. So what I'm trying to explain is that when you have OpenAI, well, the short is that it's not free. No, you need an API key. And so the best way I can explain this is that, yeah, I need to show it. I will just show it like this. Open API. I'm just quickly doing it like this. And then you can choose two things when you log in. You can choose to go to ChatGPT, which is okay. I'm not logged into that. Or you can go to the API. I have been using the API for a long time. You can go to your API keys. And for example, for this one, I have like the Beta GPT key. If I wanted to make a new one, let's say I want to use Beta GPT for the first time, then I have to create like an OpenAI account. I go into this API thing. I create a new key. Let's call it string. Yay. Okay. I create a key, and then it creates this key for me. I copy it. I go into here. I put the API key here. I confirm, and now I can use the Beta GPT. Right? I guess I don't know why it's not working. Oh, it's because when I create this one, it needs to be like associated with a specific. Yeah, there's something new. I don't really understand it, but they created. Yeah, now you have to go into these like new workspaces and create your key from here. Otherwise, it doesn't work. But anyways, that's how I'm using Better GPT, and then actually you can see if I go into it, then I can see how much I'm using. So from here, the usage. Oh, why doesn't it show it? They made some new things in here, and I don't really understand it. But anyways, you can kind of get your usage, and you can see how many things you use, like how much you spend, how much money you have left on your account, and stuff like that. I think it's really neat. There's a bunch of other ways to do like development as well. I also really much recommend trying out Anthropic. Anthropic also has. Can I log in with Google? Like it has this API called or AI called Claude, and Claude is also very powerful. I've only used it from the workbench, but it's pretty cool. I just don't like the way the workbench works, and I don't have access to the console thing that is like more freely available out there. But yeah, I think if you're a developer, you should be using these tools because it's 2024. I also have people come in the chat and they just see me copy pasting a bunch of code from ChatGPT directly into my code base. Just run it and see if it works. And then they call me out. They're like, "Oh, you're just copy pasting," and it's correct. I am copy pasting a lot, but I think it's the way of doing a lot of work. Do you need pay? Yeah, you need to pay. You have to pay for both Anthropic and for Better GPT. The biggest and best language models right now are not free to use. You can get some of the other ones cheaper than others. I think that Llama 3 is actually really good at coding. And I haven't really tested it out, and it should be a lot cheaper. Should be a lot cheaper to use Llama 3, especially, but you have to use the 70 billion parameter one, and it has to be like, I don't know, a specific one of these models, and then you have to find somewhere where it's hosted, and you need to kind of have your own client. There's a bunch of ways doing this, but I think Llama 3 might be better at coding than actually OpenAI's GPT-4. But I've just had my setup like this for maybe over a year, and I'm used to it. I know how it works. I'll maybe swap it out with Llama 3 in like a couple of months. But yeah, unfortunately, you need to pay. I'm sorry. There was actually a guy in the chat the other day who sent me a research paper one where you could kind of get it. Maybe I can find it in my history. Let's see. The benchmark. Yeah. Because it was actually pretty cool. But it's a long time ago. Well, can't find it right now. Sorry. can see there's some lurkers in the stream. Welcome. Welcome. I need to close this one and then we should get back to it. So I just created, oh, now I closed the wrong one. Open workspace file. I like to have this one open, even though it might be more confusing for you guys. Sorry. Okay. No, I don't want to update right now. Everything's working. Don't want to make it not work. Internal, and then we have downloaded. And inside here, I want to create something called podcasts, and I want to have transcripts. And actually, it should be lowercase because lowercase has been the thing that I've been using for all of the other ones. And maybe it should be downloads. Maybe. Oh, I don't really like that. It's inside the internal. Maybe it should just be like this. Okay. Let's see. I downloaded an episode before. I'll just put that in podcast.
If you have ever listened to this podcast or you like this podcast.
Yes. And then we go and see if we can use the OpenAI Whisper. How do we do this? Have a good stream. Thank you, man. Thank you, Nikki. Time to go. Yeah, me too. I'm going to go do some more Go development. Well, have a nice day, man. See you. It was nice having you in the chat. If you want, you can always follow the stream. Then you get notified when I'm live again. And if you have any socials, you can always check me out on Ekvelop on Twitter. I'm also on other social like Discord. I'm thinking about maybe creating a community for us people building stuff and connecting. But that will be in the future. Very nice to have you. See you around. Okay, how do we run this thing? Pip install OpenAI Whisper. Is that something we should be doing? We use PyTorch. What is the requirements for running this thing? Available models. Okay, so we have a tiny model. We have a base with small, medium, and large. And the large one is 1.5 million parameters. Required VRAM 10 gigabyte. Okay. Ooh. English model only. Medium. Not available. I wonder if this one is even. Okay. The EN models for English only applications tend to perform better, especially for the tiny and base models. We observe that the difference becomes less significant for small and medium models. Whisper performs very wide development. Okay. Oh, I don't know which one to use. I need a server that can. Of course, there's also some speed thing. PyCharm version. Yeah, I don't know which PyCharm version I have right now, but I think I've run this on the computer actually before. But I'll just have to go and see. No, it's not like that. Let's just try to run it here. So the server, I'll install it like this. Let's see if this works. Yada da da. There was a lot of installing. Okay. Alternatively, the following command will pull and install the latest commit from the repository along with its PyCharm dependency. No. Okay, we just did this one. To update the package to the latest version of this repository, please run. No, I don't think we need to do that because we just installed it. So Maybe we should do that anyways. Doesn't hurt, right? Probably doesn't hurt. While it's doing that, let's read here. It also requires the command line tune ffmpeg to be installed on your system, which is available on most package managers. Let's see if we have this inside the PowerShell. Whoop, looks like we have it already, so I don't need to do that, and we'll skip that one. You may need Rust installed as well in case Tick Token does not provide pre-built wheel for your platform. If you see installation errors during the pip install, comment about. Please follow the getting started page. You need to install. Okay, let's see if this is installed. Maybe, do I have Rust? No. It's saying you may need it installed. Let's just see if we can install the tools and then test it out. That's what we're gonna do. It successfully installed the tools. I don't know if we need to install the Rust. Maybe we should do it. Yeah. Bum 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 bum. Playing it safe, right? We're just playing it safe. Hello over there on the Twitter side. The chat over at Kick is actually the one that's most live right now. So if you want to check that out, you can also do that. But if you ask any questions in the Twitch chat, you are completely free to do that. Right now we are installing something called Whisper from OpenAI. It can run locally on the machine. And since I have a fairly large graphic card, I'll be able to run the big model, and then we'll see if that's good enough. We'll test out with the smaller models. Ideally, we'll be able to run this on a 2 or 1 gigabyte model, either the base or the small. Since they are trained on English, they should be able to do quite well. But I'm not sure, so it's gonna be a bit of an experiment. But happy to see you here, and maybe you can help a bit. I think we got Rust installed. Now we just need to reload this one and see if we can. No. Let's try that again. Rust. How to run a Rust program. To run a Rust. Let's see. Maybe we need to do something else then. It's something like Rust compile. Haha, so we have Rust. Okay, nice. Now I think we have all the prerequisites to run this. So we just need to command line usage. The following command will transcribe speech in audio files using the medium model. Okay. To default language for small model, work transcribe English to transcribe audio file containing non-English. You can special language using language. Okay. Let's see if we can make a little thing here. So we take this one. We need to specify a language. And I'm wondering, maybe we can do like this. English, and then we look at the, should it be medium 5 gigabytes? I don't know. And what does audio flag mean? Maybe we can ask this one. Wait. So we can model, directory, device. Oh, what does flag mean? Can be used in Python. Cool. Okay. Okay. Let's see if we go into internal. We go into the downloads. We go into podcasts. Then we have a MP3 file. So that will be our HS file. And then audio flag, this thing here. Why does it have, does it both have this? Wait. Now I'm clicking too many places. Why does it both have these two ones? Oh, maybe it translates both of the files. Okay, so we don't need to have. Maybe it should just be like this. Model, medium, language, English, and then can we do output? Task translate. We don't need to translate, but would be cool to do output. Let's just see what happens here. That's pretty fast. Whoa, what's happening? Is it loading the model or is it just transcribing it so fast? It's a 1 hour long podcast and it's transcribing it in like 2 minutes. That's crazy. No? Isn't that a bit crazy? It's the medium model. I was expecting this to take a lot longer. So medium, an AI whisper, medium versus large. Close these ones. AM language, whisper v2 compared to, what is, oh, we have large v3, whisper performance variable, depending on that, the figure shown performance breakdown of v3, v2 models. Okay, v2 and v3 models. v2 is doing a lot better now, it's the white one. Where is English? English is only here. Let's see how it did. User warning. FP16 is not supported on CPU. Using FP32 instead. And then, okay, that's because I have an AMD. Maybe it's because I have an AMD processor. Yeah, it probably is. Whatever. Oh, so this one was loading the model and now it's transcribing. If you have ever listened to this podcast, or you like this podcast, or it's the first time listening to the podcast, I swear to God, I swear on my life, this podcast is amazing. Today's episode specifically, I can't guarantee all about all the rest of them. Wait, what? Let's listen.
If you have ever listened to this podcast, or you like this podcast, or it's the first time listening to this podcast, I swear to God, I swear on my life, this podcast is amazing. Today, this episode specifically, I can't guarantee all about all the rest of them, but today's episode is amazing. Everything that you've ever liked in any piece of content that's around business, life motivation, inspiration, people doing cool shit, it is in this episode. I swear on my life, you will love this episode. And I've never said that before. This is the first time, and it's probably the last time I'll ever do that, because I don't want to die. The last 20 minutes are by far the best. Make sure you get those last 20 minutes.
I feel like I can rule the world. I know I.
That's pretty good. Maybe it's too good. Maybe we don't need it to be this good. Maybe it could be a bit less. Because this takes a long time. We have only transcribed 1 minute. There are 60 minutes in an hour, and this podcast is over an hour. There's 650. That's probably 650 hours. Oh, that's a long time. How long time has it run for now? Maybe like 2 minutes. So like if 2 minutes is equal to 1 minute, and we have like let's see, there's like 650 episodes of My First Million times maybe 1 hour. I think they're not all 1 hour, but at least that would be it. Times 2, that's how many minutes we need. Whoa, that's a lot. Divided by 60, that's how many hours it would take. Divided by 24, so it would take me 50 days to. That's too long. We are gonna interrupt. Way too long. So we will try with the smallest model, maybe. We try tiny. Okay, model tiny. And I wonder actually where it is outputting. OpenAI Whisper output. Wait, there's an output directory. Output directory. Shit. Can we do it like this? Let's try. So it loaded the model really fast. This is a bit faster.
If you have ever listened to this podcast, or you like this podcast, or it's the first time listening to this podcast, I swear to God, I swear on my life, this podcast is amazing. Today, this episode specifically, I can't guarantee all about all the rest of them, but today's episode is amazing. Everything that you've ever liked in any piece of content that's around business, life motivation, inspiration, people doing cool shit. It is in this episode. I swear on my life, you will love this episode. And I've never said that before. This is the first time, and it's probably the last time I'll ever do that because I don't want to die. The last 20 minutes are by far the best. Make sure you get those last 20 minutes.
I feel like I can rule the world. I know I could be what I want to. I put my all in it like no days off. On the road, let's travel.
All right, we're live. Sean, how you doing?
How am I doing?
It filtered
Did you know
out
it's funny?
It filtered out the song. That's crazy.
Some days I wake up and I'm Andrew Huberman's godson. I wake up, I stretch, I get my psoas loose, I get outside, I get
my psoas loose. What?
some sunlight, I cold plunge, I sauna, I do everything. I meditate, I focus, I pray.
Okay, so sauna becomes so-an. Maybe it's fine.
I don't even believe in God. I'm just praying to the universe. I do everything. And then some days are like today, where I wake up and I just wage war for my boxer.
Where I wake up. Wake up. But it's doing it a lot faster, so it's really hard to complain. $10:37. That's like here. I'm not allowed to load it. Oh man.